Khushi, that's good. Now, see, we're beginning with today's session. It's already delayed by 10-15 minutes. I'm sorry for the technical glitch. Now, so today's class is centric all about reading. Why we should be reading, first of all, and what we should be reading, and what will be our material and source. Now, first of all, in generic sense, I wanted to highlight to you, reading is an integral part of your life. Now, why? Reason one, that it helps you activate your reading activates the muscles of the brain, and it helps you improve on the language skill. Whether we're reading any kind of newspaper, any material, it improves language skills. Clear-cut improvement can be seen that, first of all, it improves not only on your attention span. When you concentrate in an article in a newspaper, your concentration spans increase. Most importantly, it helps you become aware of the things and sensitizes you to the world. So here enters one major thing, and that's newspaper. So why should I read the newspaper? My today's all about reading is what should I be reading in the newspaper, and why should I be focusing on the newspaper? The reason one for reading the newspaper is because it makes me aware on all topics. It makes me conscious on what is happening across the globe. So it's not only helping you relate to your current affairs or politics, but it can be anything from religion to economics to business. So everything is there in the newspaper. Plus, it sensitizes me to the global information that's lying across the globe or the world. So first of all, this is why I should read the newspaper. How much time should I spend, and what should be the method of reading a newspaper? We'll spend about 10-15 minutes understanding the importance of newspaper. Now, this session should really help those students because who are really not picked up yet the habit of newspaper reading. And another thing, a lot of you are also glued that we need to read the newspaper, which is going to be a newspaper like Hindu. So first and foremost, yes, Hindu makes a great newspaper to read. Two reasons for that. My first highlight will be two reasons why I should be reading the Hindu. First of all, it will give me two advantages. Hindu does not have like this columnist where they're hired columnists. They're asking experts to write articles for them. So I get the expert's view. First thing is that. Secondly, this is one newspaper. Whenever you're reading the articles, you will find very often that these articles are loaded with vocabulary words. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. Words are loaded in the articles. So articles, when they have words, so I get acquainted with vocabulary. New words keep popping up, so my vocabulary is further strengthened, or I get into that mode of reading articles which are full of words. So practically, I might not know the exact meanings of those words, yet I can understand the text with the presence of difficult words, and also gives me a scope to prepare new words. A strong sense of grammar, language skill is enhanced when you read quality articles. Your expression by reading is further enhanced because when you speak, you are able sometimes to say those kind of words which are very often cited in the newspapers or which are very often seen and read by you. So our speaking skills are enhanced. Our grammar is further fortified. We experience an exposure to difficult and new words, which help us again add on more words to our vocabulary skills. And further, it makes us and it relates us to different kinds of articles. Now, Hindu being one of the major sources, but does that mean my train stops at Hindu and I should only be reading the Hindu now? No. I should be spending, it's exactly, I like to take an analogy here and explain you. We never eat one flavor of food. When, let's say I'm buying a packet of chips and I have to buy it almost daily. So probably that gives me the scope to experiment with new flavors. So I would not buy the normal masala chips every day. I will go and experiment sometimes with sour cream, sometimes with peri peri, and the same thing should be there with your reading. So why only confine yourself to Hindu will not be a great thing. I mix match newspapers. I frequently change newspapers. Hindu can be my daily support system. But along with that, it's not that I subscribe now there to 10 newspapers. No. For example, Monday I can read a few articles from Pioneer or Guardian. So there can be another newspaper, Guardian. Pick up some articles from a global newspaper like New York Times. Now, all those who are students with us would have realized that whenever they're giving you articles and they're taking excerpts from the newspapers, then their sources are going to be eclectic and diverse. So this time, if you've given your mock Clat 6, you would have realized articles have come from New York Times or articles from the Washington Post. So probably first thing first is that I am not going to keep it only one newspaper, but I can't read all the 5 one day. So let's say if out of the 7 days that I read the newspaper, I keep 3 days to Hindu and the rest 4 days to a different source, which first of all gives me 3 advantages. One, I get different flavors of what? Of writing styles. Let me now, just for example, aren't you getting this style question in your exam? The more diverse I read, I am acquainted and acclimatized to various kinds of styles of various authors. Now, for example, let me take some examples here. When I'm reading a Hindu, I am getting to read editorial page of Hindu, and probably that's going to be written by maybe yes, India Today, economy. I'm coming to those also. Now, for example, if I'm reading a TOI, I get articles of Jug Suraya, I get to read Tavleen Singh. But when I'm reading an Indian Express, on the contrary, these are some of my, I'm also going to write some authors to you, columnists to you, so that you get to understand that why we need to be more precise with reading experts. For example, now if I'm reading a Indian Express, I would really look at articles of Kunti Kapoor. She's got a wonderful flair with language, an expert on writing. But if I'm reading a Hindu, I can read articles of Gurcharan Das. Now, is it possible that I keep looking only for these people? Or I can read, C. Raja Mohan. I write certain names to you so you can easily see why I am saying this. Now, these 2 people will have different way of writing. On the contrary, if I'm reading a Sagrika Ghosh, can you see what happens? Though they might be writing on the same issue, yet their method of writing will be very different. And that's what I want my student to be exposed to. If you're reading one, have you seen this? Would you agree with me if I tell all of you that if you read one newspaper every day, you start developing a comfort around the topics about the way they write, you become comfortable with the columnist. Okay, so this comfort domain is what I'm striking off and introducing the new element of variety. Now, if I were to ask you what are your favorite columnists, then very few would be able to name it because you're reading randomly. You're reading randomly. But when I say precise reading, so if I were to read Hindu, I should read, I can read something like Swapan Das Gupta writing for a Hindu. It could also be somebody like Nirmal Shekhar writing for Hindu on the sports column. It can also be somebody like TGS George. I write these names gradually so that you know. And here comes your distinction and demarcate one person from the other. Their styles will be very different. Like Suhasini Heather, wow, somebody's giving me a great name. And you can easily also, we can really pick up articles of, let's say, P. Sainath. He's a wonderful, he writes articles for Hindu. Hindu op-eds are usually sometimes written by him, and he's also the editor of the Rural Affairs of Hindu. So if you were talking about rural economies, talking about rural development or any scheme related to the rural sector, peace sign arts article you would surely find. But you're looking for now, just for 1 minute to explain you here, what can we experiment? We can experiment that we can take two articles now. How would I mix match? So let's say we're taking a scenario. I can take today 3 articles of the Hindu. People who are beginners now. So if you immediately start with Hindu, you're going to find a little bit of difficulty. Who've just started with the newspaper reading and suddenly I push you to read Hindu, it'll be a little tedious task for you, or you might feel demotivated because a lot of times you might not be able to understand. So there is no issue. You can start newspaper reading from a little different, I'm not saying lower. You can read articles from the Times of India. Within the next 15 days, once you start developing comfort around the Times of India editorial pages, shift your span to Hindu. Within these 15 days, also try experimenting that you see to it that you have read one or two articles from a different newspaper. First of all, become motivated, get motivated to read the newspaper daily. You cannot understand the importance of reading the newspaper because it'll pay you multiple dividends. You become street smart. I have already highlighted your communication goes wonders and your vocabulary enhances, and that's all going to be very helpful when we enter the law schools because that's going to set the tables right for us. Reason one, we shine with the communication. Communication becomes an integral way of making our presence felt. The world and also our peers notice us. A great communicator might always find his presence or acknowledgement coming to him sooner or later. It is going to be happening for you. So now people who are beginners will begin from Times of India. They will also read articles from a business newspaper. So mix match. Because all of you by now, if you're attending classes, you would be clear that your articles are going to be from multiple sources. Newspaper can cater to probably these 4 areas wonderfully. One is obviously politics. Then it can be society and politics. A lot of articles. It can also be on economy of the globe as well as of our country. It can cater to sports, but usually sports articles not very often seen, but they can cater to our business and the globe, business of India, of our country as well as business of the globe. Now, newspaper can also talk about some general basic viewpoints, let's say, of articles that are very general and current, like repealing of the farm laws, or probably having some kind of relation troubles with India, Pakistan, or having some art confluence. So these general articles from environment and ecology and environment. So that means newspaper can cater to all this, which can be even environmental sciences. Hindu, as a matter of fact, to some extent will cover some articles of science also, not all streams, but yes, for some for sure. But now what are we? But our paper is not going to have only these. We might have articles coming from language, articles coming from literature. We might have articles coming from psychology. There might be some speeches that might be given, but newspaper at least makes us confident here. So the first step is that what we do is probably all of them are there. Now, why I said the beginners newspaper can be a Times of India, not that that's not a good newspaper. The language used in that newspaper is a very common kind of an easy writing style so that it is discernible or understandable to the masses. So initially we are reading the newspaper of the masses, and within 10-15 days, once we become acquainted with the language and we become comfortable and we form a habit of reading the newspaper, we shift gears and move on to a different gear. Now, Hindu becomes a principal newspaper to read, but then mix match. Almost 3 days a week we are reading Hindu, and our newspaper is not not the beginning yellow journalism, the masala gossip. We will go to the opinion page and we will go to the editorial page. So our newspaper lies there. Now, how much should I read? Practically in a newspaper now, my recommendations on the newspaper, I said globals will be New York Times and the Washington Post. But as far as other newspapers, Indian Express columnists, you can read online articles. The columnist site on the Indian Express gives you a great exposure on all the columnists that are writing for Indian Express. And here, Komi Kapoor, my favorite, she writes in the Indian Express. Then C. Raja Mohan is writing in Indian Express. And there's another one which I'm really very fond of is Meghnad Desai. These are now, you can search articles written by these people, experts. Then you can have articles written by Gurcharan Das, Shashi Tharoor. If you're looking particularly for difficult writing style, Shashi Tharoor. Then you can have easy ones written by Sagrika Ghosh, Tavleen Singh, Pratap Bhanu Mohita. It could be the ones they are writing little complex than the normal writing style. Swapan Das Gupta, it could be something like TJS George on international news. So probably rather than picking a newspaper, I will pick columnist in a newspaper to develop views on a particular domain. I read information in the newspaper, which helps me build a viewpoint, collect information, and, become factually aware or become opinion aware. I don't follow their opinion. After reading them, I develop my own opinion. Okay, now this is a mix match strategy. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can keep it particularly. Now, these are not fixed days. You can have days of your choice also, or you are keeping it fixed to your Hindu. But the rest 4 days, I will pick 3 to 4 different newspapers. Let's say, for example, Tuesday, I'm totally inclined to read the New York Times. So I'll read 3, articles from NYT. So Tuesday, I'll keep it to NYT. And how much time now? All from the newspaper, because these are the topics that are going to get clear. So 3 articles in one go for sure. And these 3 articles now should be the one which should be in, what should be the length? Now, I am not dictating a length. The length of these articles should be close to 1,500 words to 2,000 words, so that it matches with the number of, at least matches with the number of words that you're going to see in your RCs. Now, at least 3 RCs in your real paper are also going to have about 1,800 words, 1,900 words. So we keep it centric 3. People, those who are beginners, will read 2. People who have become pros will read 4. So that's here. Newspaper, 5th, and how much time? Now, if you're reading an article of 600 words, 700 words, the total time, the ideal time to read, not one article, because let's not time ourselves basis only one article. Let's time ourselves for all the 3-4 articles that we are reading at one go. If you're a beginner, the beginner strategy is 2. The medium strategy is, let's say I have become a medium reader, I read 3, but if you're a pro, then 4 to 5. And this will give you, what will it give you? It will give you the strength and the stamina to bear with 4 RCs and keep changing articles. You can take one from, let's say, for example, I read one from economics, one from society, one business, and maybe one fashion and films. See, look at it. Everyday reading will give me, in a month, I would have gone through 80 topics of general awareness, politics and economics and business and society. Maybe sometimes science, sometimes book reviews, sometimes even movie reviews. It's fun to read them also. It's not only about serious reading. We have to become not only aware, but we have to become street smart with our reading. Now, once you've read the newspaper, so this is the beginner strategy, another thing. Now, people who are also keen to improve, their speaking skills. Now, a lot of you have come and asked me, not every one of you, a lot of you have come and asked me, ma'am, how can I improve my speaking skills? So then how would I do it? I've read an article. Let's say I've read that. Okay. I have read that. Okay. Article, what will I do? The article that I found really easy and the article that I found really difficult. Let's say these are two range bound readings. Extremities I'm taking, the easy one, which I said I can really absorb, and the difficult one, which I found a little difficult. See, easy and difficult is not basis that Shashi Tharoor wrote, so it's difficult, and Tavleen Singh wrote is easy, or Bachchi Gargeria wrote, so it's going to be easy. No. Easy, difficult means for me that the part which I could absorb. Oh, thank you for so many smileys and good emojis. Okay, now it does not mean difficult. What difficult is that I read, and while after reading, I am not able to retain. I am not able to retain, or I cannot talk about structuring the paragraph, that I don't know how to structure the paragraph. That article becomes a difficult article. I lose my concentration. I want to reread it. I'm able to understand, but if you ask me to put it in my own words, I'm unable to do it. That's a difficult thing. That's a concern area. But I read an article, I went with an easy pace. And now if you ask me to say, how did the author write the article? What is the concern of the author? I can really explain to you and even create some lines from the text only. I can even say some lines which the author has cited in the text. That means you have been able to understand that article very properly. So now easy and difficult. What will I do? Let's say I read a 500-word article, easy one. Beginners. So I'll put it to close. Now I'll put it to close and I'll speak out the 3-4 lines that I could retain from my reading. I will not just think in my mind. I will speak them aloud. I will speak like I am speaking to a friend, or I am passing the message, what I read, as a message that I pass to my friend. Now, what will happen? I'll obviously say that line in English. 3-4 lines of continuous speaking. Believe me, if you do this exercise for a month, you become so fit. A line that you speak out, it retains in your brain and the language starts accumulating in your brain. Your expression of the language becomes so good. Believe me, do it and your communication skills start getting improved. And in this, if you can do one more thing, if you could just say a difficult word in one of the lines, oh, that will be an amazing effort to do. That will be an amazing. And the same, people with the moderate will do it with a moderate passage. People with the beginners will do an easy passage. People who have already moved ahead and have gone on to the second or the third note will go to the difficult one. And we'll do it with difficult. And for difficult also, I'm not saying difficult, dense paragraph, a dense paragraph. Yes. Somewhere you have an interest will also might fall in the easy category. So we probably have to take an article from the area that we are not very comfortable with, something that we find alien, something, let's say, for example, this in the newspaper is becoming very comfortable. So I will start moving gears from the newspaper to some more sources of reading. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, more sources of reading is what I'm providing you so that all of you, and another for people who are weak in English speaking, another method. Apart from doing this speaking yourself, it'll be great if you can listen to podcasts. Listen to a podcast, and now you will understand why I'm suggesting listening to a podcast. Reason one, because when you listen to somebody, again, that language starts fixing in your mind. And another thing, listening to podcasts while you're traveling, while you're relaxing, you're not doing anything, and somebody is speaking for you and giving you the analysis to a book for grammar or for some topic, oh, that'll be an excellent way. Listening helps you retain more. Reading for sure helps you gain attention spans, but listening helps you gain more absorption. It retains better. It's reading the first step, listening the second step, and usually when people write it, you perfect on that step. So that's why reading, writing, and listening and writing. So listen to, now what are the podcasts you will listen to? You will listen to podcasts. I'm going to give you a few of my favorites, like I've given you a few of my favorites with the authors also. So I repeat first my favorites on the authors, and then I columnists, rather than, they're also book authors, and so rather than reading their books, it will be advisable, I just put a www and I write shashitharoor.com, तो मुझे शशि थरूर के बहुत सारे articles आ जाएंगे. Same thing with Tavleen Singh, same thing with Jag Surya, with Swapan Das Gupta. You will have a lot of, just you have to go to their, you can go to their websites, you can go to the newspapers columnist sites, and you can read. Indian Express columnist site has amazing collection of articles. So newspapers, if you're not preparing the current one, you can go to the Back Hindu PDF and look at the analysis of the Back Hindu PDF also. So you can also read the Hindu Open. Total time you should be spending on the newspaper should not, please, मेरा बोलने में लग रहा है कि ma'am is saying इतना. No, we are reading 4 articles every day. Sources will be multiple and mix match, but time will be between a range of 15 to 20 minutes. If you are taking 2300, 2400 words, it'll be 20 minutes. But if you're reading 1700, 1400, 1500, I am keeping it like 150 words per minute for the newspaper, so that absorption is great, because that's not asking a huge on the word count also. So if you're able to manage the day, you're able to manage all the 4 articles. Now this will improve one thing. One, it'll improve your stamina, your concentration. Stamina means I am ready to run the marathon of 5 RCs. I am preparing myself for a day where I'll be able to read all the 5 RCs. So I've started taking the first baby step is I've started reading 3 articles. Not all 5 are going to be difficult. So that's why a healthy mix of easy, moderate, and difficult. Okay, that could be the one. So no. That I'll tell you. That I'll guide you. Please, Pavni, that I'll guide you. Stamina would improve. Our basic, what will improve? Our concentration spans will improve. Now, if I am a beginner, I concentrated for 10 minutes. And the moment I become a medium pace reader, I concentrate for 17 minutes. I become a pro, I concentrate for 20 minutes. So my you're not understanding कि 2-3 minutes से क्या फर्क पड़ेगा. No, it makes a huge difference. In a 3 to 4 minutes, one can attempt 1 RC with 4 questions. So you can understand the 4 questions in any English section can make and break the English section. When it comes to the top calls, 4 questions are very important. So a 3-4 minute gain is a huge gain in any exam. We usually say even a 2-minute gain, you can understand if I provide you with 2 minutes and say solve some questions of GK, you get extra 2 minutes, then your competitor, and if you know the GK, probably you might be able to solve 4 to 5 more questions. So undoubtedly, I am saying a very unfair thing to such young brains, because I'm really asking you to run in a competitive manner. No, don't run against anybody. Please run against your performance. That's why I want your concentration to improve. Not that, for example, let's say there is a student named Rahul in a class. Rahul can run fast, so I need to run fast. No, that's not the condition. I'm running at my pace, but I'm improving and I am moving forward. I am not stagnating. I am moving forward. Let Rahul run the race and come first. I will also meet him at the end point. We both are going to be standing. Rahul is at the finish line. I will also reach at the finish line. Probably he might reach there in 1 day. I reach there in 10 days, but I will reach there. So our importance is not that in somebody in the class tells you, I read at 200 words per minute, I read 400 words per minute. Okay, keep reading. Wonderful. Appreciate him and say, thank you. Tell me a technique. How did you get that? Don't get rough, worried or frightened. Ki somebody is reading now, what will happen to me? Mera to hoga hi nahi. No. It is bound to happen. Only thing is we need a persistent effort and we need to be absolutely consistent. consistently, religiously doing it. It's like, this exercise of newspaper reading has to be equated to something like something like breathing. Do you stop breathing because you go to a wedding? Do you stop breathing because your friend comes back home? Or do you stop breathing because you had to go to your aunt's home? No, you don't. No, you don't. You keep breathing continuously. You don't stop. So similarly, reading is like breathing. So somebody who gives me an excuse कि मैम मुझसे रोज नहीं हो पाता, तो my only answer, and it's a very rude one also, I think a lot of people are not going to like this. See, if I can say, if I don't stop breathing, if my aunt comes or I go to a party, then how is it that the most vital thing I miss just because my aunt has come or I have to go to a party? Have fun, enjoy. But 15 minutes is not that. I don't think you cannot spare from your precious time. Yes. Now here comes some. Now we'll talk about. So it increases concentration spans and it increases our stamina to read. We are gearing up for the final day. So this is what we are reading. And now, what podcast should I be listening? Just 5 minutes. I'll guide you on that also, and then we begin on techniques to read. My favorite podcast would be something like this. I am really reading effort. This is this. So you can listen to them. Effortless English. This is a great one to listen. This is having book analysis also. Recently, I listened to the Alchemist review podcast. So books like 7 Successful Habits of Successful People, 7 Habits of Successful People, then Alchemist. Book reviews podcasts are there. You can listen to them language. Then you can do a gist of listening. How much can your brain retain with listening? Then learn English with, this is another podcast. These are 2 of my very favorite ones, which says learn English with British Council. The accent is great to pick up. And another thing, and Premier League. This has some, and I already in my classes also, I told you, I'm a great fan of football. So this has a lot of sport terms also. So learn English with British Council and Premier League has a lot of idiomatic phrases, phrasal verbs to be listened. Effortless English has book reviews, grammar, topics. Then there is this easy one, which is the IELTS energy. This is for the people who are preparing for. ये थोड़ा easy है, but not much to listen here. The IELTS energy English. तो आप ये, you can listen to them while you're traveling, while you're sitting in your car, or if you're having, you're relaxing and you don't want to. So your idioms and phrases are wonderful here on the IELTS also. And they would ask you, would you want a band 7 score? You will say yes. And then the topics will become a little more, better rather than difficult. Okay? So these are some pods that you can listen to. Effortless English has books also. So you can listen to some books also. So book pods can be great. It's a speaking book. So even if you're not reading, you can do that. And then in between, if you find a difficult word, give a command to Google and let's interpret the meaning of the word there itself. And that's reading with vocabulary skills. That'll be a wow to develop vocab also. So these are some pods in the newspapers we discussed. Now, what are the other sources apart from what I should be reading with? Now, these are some sources I like all my students to follow. And the first one is this, which is Eon Essays. Is great to read on psychology, parapsychology, philosophy, literature. And if you've attempted your mock 6, you must have seen articles from New York Times. Mock 5 had articles from Eon Essays. So Eon Essay is a great source to prepare apart from the newspaper. But the precursor that I need to set here is articles on the Eon are usually long than what you get in your essay, in your RCs. So who says read, break. Let's say you are having an article size of 2,500 words. So what will I do? I'll read 1,000 today, or maybe 800 into 3, and I'll read it in 3 days. Who says? I can read it. Who says read all? An RC is an excerpt that is taken from a larger source. So who says I pick up the whole 2,500 words and get bored and then next day I don't want to even see the face of Eon? No, I won't do that. I'll stop wherever I lose my concentration. So I'll read 800, 750. That's the maximum length you will get in an article. Eon essays can be a good source. Then second source of reading, I told you, digital history can be a great one. For history articles, history is not available in your newspapers. Now, see here, MWF I kept for Hindu. Tuesday I kept for a new newspaper. Saturday I can keep it for another new newspaper. And the rest 2 days I can read from these sources, developing other skills of reading. Like a digital history, I can have a sci-fi daily.com, or I can have a aldaily.com. AL is art and letter. Letters are literature articles only. So they are listing them as letters, but they are AL daily articles. aldaily.com, sci-fi daily, science for students. Some great sources to prepare for science articles. These are great ones. History, digital history, Eon essays for everything. Also, I can have for psychology, I can also have articles on the Eon only. So can we keep our Saturday for the Eon and 2 articles, 3 articles, different streams from Eon? We can have one day, some article of science. Let's keep it Friday. We are trying to pick up article of science from this source. And MWF me, 1 article of science will come Friday from this source. History, I can keep on Wednesday. 2 articles from the newspaper, 1 article of history. Okay? Then 2 articles of the newspaper, 1 article of science. 1 complete day I'm giving to Eon. The difficult day for me, whatever is going to be your difficult day that you decide. And Monday, let's keep it very plain, on very plain articles from any source. Let's say, for example, a TOI, a day that you don't feel like reading the Hindu, read it. Don't stop reading the newspaper, read it from TOI. You will get so charged up and motivated. Ki mujhe sab aa raha hai. And I want that one day to happen to all of you. Okay, so these are your multiple sources from where you can mix match articles and read. So this is an article reading again. Maybe 2 from the newspaper, 2 from these sources, maybe 3 from the newspaper, and 1 from a different source, like from any of these sources, or all 4 from the newspaper one day. That can be there, and all 4 from Eon essays. So like this, this is like mix match. Now I don't need to give you an idea on mix matching. So my idea would be my student reads. Now, if let's say you're following a 3 RC or 3 article reading approach, and you follow it, like I said, like breathing 30 days, across a month, you would have gone across 90 articles. Across 4 months, you can imagine the multiplication is very simple. 400, 500 articles across 6 months. Now, who can stop you from such variety in reading will bring you to that forefront of great communication and great understanding skills. Now, these are your sources that we've discussed. Importance of reading, sources, how to improve language, listening, improve speaking, and people who are beginners can even put a close to the articles and speak themselves. That was what reading of the newspaper, reading of articles will help us. Now I come to cracking the paper. Okay, so I am moving further. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. I think I'm missing something. How do I take it further? Just give me 1 minute. Okay. I'm using a wrong tool only. I told you earlier also, May and technology don't gel. Shruti and the word technology. I don't think it's moving further. मुझे बोर्ड के नीचे कीबोर्ड कहाँ है सर मुझे नहीं समझ अच्छा ओके ओके now would you be able now we're moving on to the techniques to reading and you can all of you can see I'm targeting today one question that how we are going to mind map the paragraph and how we are developing our skills of reading. So here is what we are doing. Can you see now an article like this from Hindu? Just 1 minute. Let it. Yeah, it says, yeah, we know. You know. Okay, that's nice if you know my skills in technology. Though I might be a science student, yet my skills are very poor. Can you all see the article that I've just opened? The Afghan woman, it's a great regression. So would you be able, are you able to see the article? This size of an article, how much time to be read? Now this is from the Hindu. No, I'm not asking you to read. Another thing, how can we utilize our, understanding on specific reading areas? Now, for example, let me just point out to you, can you all see here? I'm doing it in red so that I can help you understand. After reading, let's say I am reading only this much. I am reading only till here. I start from here and I read till here. Can I not make a summary, a small paragraph like a CR question and I say, what is the main idea? The author has almost written the dictat. The dictat. Now for 1 minute, can we all just look at it? He says no school, no comma jobs. No school, no jobs. There is a special law, special decree. And then he says obliteration of services. Would you see here? What have I done here? And look at the title. For Afghan woman, it is the great regression. For Afghan women, it is the great regression. Now, these are almost like 500 to 600 words written. And can you see how initially this woman, what will she do? Now, imagine how article writers will write. They give you a brief understanding or introduction. Here's my introduction. This part, the I part. After that, she starts elaborating various sub-ideas under the main idea of the Afghan woman. Now, what are the dictats, the problems? The second problem, no school and jobs. The third problem, there is a special law for them. And then there is the obliteration of services. Can you see here? Each paragraph holding its own idea. Here, the author has clearly pointed to you that I am going to cover these areas. And when you are reading, and suppose he's not given these headlines, would you be able, how do you absorb well? I first go and find out the intro of the author and find out 4 to 5 lines that are going to make up the details to reading as ideas absorbed in one reading. Ideas absorbed in one reading. Okay, so understand, I found out without even reading, I know you all can't read this article. The font might be very less, but without reading, don't you get to know what is written in the, what is written? He says the dictats, she says rather, the dictats. No school, and what will be written in this paragraph where he says no school jobs? No school and jobs. Don't you understand what is going to be written? So practically saying now, what I'll do is I'll do a zoom and let's see whether you can then, just 1 minute. Sir, how do I zoom out? Sir, zoom kaise karna hai? It's not getting pitched only. Prashant sir, zoom kaise karna hai? It's not getting zoomed. थोड़ा सा नीचे से करो. Okay, for 1 minute, can you all just let's read this part. Would you be able to read now the special decree that is here, special decree? Okay, I brought it in the center part. Would you be able to read this special decree that I've just? Okay, so here's this special decree for you. Would you be able to read it till here? Please, all of you try reading till the word employment. Only the word on December 3. Read this part. On December 3, the Taliban issued. I hope all of you can read it. You're reading the special decree. I'm underlining it also. Just read the top 3 lines and stop. Read it till Afghanistan. Read it here and stop. Read? Have you all read? Done. Okay. Now, without going back, let's not now. Please don't refer to the paragraph. Would you be able to tell me what is the tone of the author towards the special decree? What is the tone? Tone means, is it the message conveyed? Is the message positive or is it negative? What is the tone conveyed on the special decree? Positive or negative? Is the author positive or negative? He's absolutely negative. Can you see her? From here, when you knew that what you were reading at the top, the intro was saying, Afghan woman and it is the great regression. It's great regression. So you knew the intro was negative, and about he's absolutely, it says, does little to solve the larger problem before the woman of Afghanistan. Though, look at the word though. Can you see, we are focusing more on where he says his opinion rather than focusing on December 3. This is a fact that I don't need. Now, there is a law which states, which is working on adult women's consent during marriage. A widow has a fixture. Now, that's okay, the properties of the law, but a welcome move. Though a welcome move, yet does little to solve the larger problem. So did you see the transition that the author brought by bringing his tone? Without reading the next paragraph, would you be able to tell me what he would be writing without reading? Please tell me what he would continue in the next paragraph. Without reading. Please don't read. Can you see what he does? Example. So author starts a point, gives more explanations or descriptions to the point, and then says an example in favor or against. Very good. Very good. Very many of you could pick up the tone as negative. But see now, for instance, now you know he's going to cite an example. But example for what? He's going to cite an example for what? For the law. Because the heading now is, the larger umbrella was the special law, the special rule. So look, now he gives an example. Let's all try reading the example quickly. Let's read the example now. Look, for instance, at no point does the decree explicitly talk about the widespread issues of child marriage that have been prevalent. Look at it. Example, now you're reading an example, but what is the example doing to the top point? Tell me, what does this example do? What is this example doing? These three lines are doing what? To the top line. Tell me, is it contradicting? Is it explaining further? Or is it adding or supporting? What is he doing? Is he contradicting? No, he is not. Can you see he starts about, at no point does the decree, it's talking about the drawbacks only. It strengthens. Very good. The example goes in support of this point, does little. Does little. It goes in support of does little. Now see here, does little to solve the larger problems. No point does the decree explicitly talk about widespread issue of child marriage to be an issue of concern for the international community. According to UNICEF, this and this and this, providing an important insight into Taliban's thinking vis-a-vis women. As such, the decree, conclusion, even fails to mention anything about women's access to education or employment. See, did you see here? Now, what type of question will come? Why does the author cite the example of the special decree to highlight what point? In order to, don't you get these questions? He's asking you that the special law does not solve the larger problems of the women of Afghanistan. It does not mention anything on the issue of child marriage. It even fails to mention about women's access to knowledge and employment. See, why did I give this point? Look, in the whole essay, this was one point. Now you've seen obliteration of services is the next line. Did you see here? So what will he talk about? Will he change his tone? Will the author change his tone? Will the author change the tone? No. Bolsters her assertion. Very good supports. Don't you get that? The author's example bolsters the assertion that the law does nothing for the Afghan woman. No. Now, if you can see, the line is continuing. Obviously, this obliteration of services will give you another few problems of services that women are facing. Obliteration means pura, it's over, finishing. Now, I don't know the meaning of obliteration, but somewhere down below, he says, what is the meaning of obliteration? Can I not get to know the meaning by reading at least 2-3 lines of the next paragraph? I can. Can I start reading? Gender-based discrimination, violence. Gender-based violence. Studies, 87% experience at least one form of violence, physical, sexual, or psychological. Multiple forms. Access to shelters and essential services such as medical treatment, psychology, that means obliteration of services means finishing, over. Earlier they had shelters and essential services, medical, psychological, pro bono, legal representation. But now they have nothing. So can you see here? I can easily make out the meaning of obliteration also, though I might not be knowing. Now see, you made a gist. If I were to ask you to make a gist, Afghan women's having, I'm not asking you to make a gist of the whole paragraph, special decree for them, and there is all obliteration of services. The services that were existing in the form of medical treatment, psychological support, pro bono legal representation, all are over now for them, post the Taliban rule. Like, look, I'm reading a newspaper, I'm reading an article from the Hindu only. This is an article from the Hindu. Let me shift my base to another article and show you how we are going. Then we'll do three small passages also. How do I shift again? Okay. Next slide, I'm moving now, just 1 minute. Okay, now would you be able to see this article? Can you all see this? Troubling question on CBSE's misogynist comments. Misogyny. Read for me till the word here, last, dropping the question. Read for me and give me the gist. Give me the gist. I hope the font size is okay. Start reading from the road to gender equity. Read that. And in this, I want three things to happen. I want you to tell me the introduction in the first 3-4 lines. That means now this is how you're reading. You're reading and taking a 5-point approach to reading. Please let me mention, first few lines, you will always search the introduction. Later, all the subsequent paragraphs, you're going to search out the highlights of the paragraph. And when we combine all that, our paragraph will have a summary ready. The 5-point will help us make the summary of the paragraph. Would you be able to give me the intro in the next 3-4 lines of this passage? Give me the intro from here. Give me what is the topic introduction in not more than 5 to 7 words. And I want all of you to keep the words from the paragraph rather than putting and giving me your own new words. Okay, so clearly saying the need for to gender equity is the road to gender equity is long and hard. And despite the fact that each generation has done something, yet we struggle. The struggle to overcome disparities is far from over. Then it talks about in the next line, it talks about schools' importance in schools' role in sensitizing, not in overcoming gender equity. School cannot overcome. In sensitizing, schools' role in sensitizing young minds towards building. Young minds can build, school can't build. So school will sensitize children, and those children, young minds, will further build a non-discriminatory world. In this now, look at this. What is this now? What has started now? अब ये क्या start हो गया in this context? अब ये बताओ ये क्या start हुआ? Give me फटाफट दो मुझे example. In this context क्या है? What is he doing in this context? When you say in this context, when you say, for example, for instance, citing the case of, what are you saying then? What are you starting with? What is the author starting with? Quickly, tell me what is the author starting with? The issue, the example. Very good. Aryan, wow. Mudit, the issue is the example. Now, is the issue important to you now? That's going to be a fact. That's going to be a research study. But what is happening in the issue now? He gives you the total scenario. English conducted this. And here, in the issue, focus on the word condemned. The issue condemned the sexist and the regressive stand. The passage which created a furore across all sections of society, parliament, where women getting independent. Now he's giving us, including one which said, he gives us some lines from the paragraph, from that RC given in. That's a line. Can you read the line? Can we look at it? Women gaining independence is the main reason for a wide variety of social and family problems. Young, impressionable teenager girls and boys already stressed because of the pandemic did not know how to tackle the question. Another sentence shockingly read. Now another example. The multiple answers to one question that followed the passage, asking children to comment on the tone, had this choice. The writer takes a light-hearted approach to life. It was tone deaf. Up, can you see what does the word mean, tone deaf? Tone deaf, batao, what is tone deaf? Can you see how we made the summary? Can you see the summary? The road to gender equity is long and hard. Okay. But every generation is finding a better way to struggle and its struggle to overcome disparities, but they are far from over. The school's role in sensitizing young minds, in building a non-discriminatory world. For example, there was a paragraph in the 10th board. Author cites an example of the 10th board where the paragraph was condemned for its aggressive and sexist stand. And these are some lines that we write from the paragraph. And we said the CBSE board was tone deaf. Was tone deaf. What does the word tone deaf means? What does the word tone deaf mean? Iska matlab ki they could, CBSE could not hear what? Yes, very good. Tone deaf means with they did not give, they did not respond. I am deaf now. If you give me any sound, tone is a sound. Now you give me, I am deaf now. You give me a sound, I can't hear it. So they were not ready to hear. They did not respond. A very strong word to say deaf. I did not respond could have been another way of saying, but I am deaf. I am not even bothered. People are creating noises, furore. Did you see here? There was furore across all sections of the society, but the initial response for CBSE was tone deaf. Although the board later heard, so tone deaf. Now they'll ask you, what does the word tone deaf mean? Means not bothered to listen. They did not pay much attention to the issue. Very good. Ignorant. So, Abhi, dekho, if you've read 100 words, and for 1 minute, can you, I purposely, I don't know why I put there, look at it. Instead of casting of stereotypes, school authorities are reiterating old wrongs. Look at the heading. Newspapers will do this. See, this is an article again from Hindu. Here's the summary given in the bold. Always it will be there. And here's the total article. Like I gave you for smaller special decree, obliteration of services, the dig tax. So when you read, don't ignore the first line, read and see whether you matched with the author's thought and you know the gist now. I'll just take you further with this paragraph. I don't know why it doesn't move fully. No, I'm so sorry. Okay, just 1 minute. Now look at the article continues. Article continues. It was eventually forced to express regret and vowed to review its paper setting process already because of COVID-19 from the social sciences and other humanities subjects. Topics such as federalism, citizenship, nationalism, secularism, democracy, and diversity were slashed. Can you see the measures? Now, a issue cited and the actions taken on the issue given. Okay. Nikhil, good evening. Okay, but can you see an issue cited and then the issue being the outcomes of the issue given? And can you see here now? Please read from here. Read from here now and tell me what would you make out till this line, till the word young. Can you see this? This article written by an expert. Can you see this? It clearly says here, inequalities of class, caste, gender already exist in the school system. So what is it now? What was the message? Is the message that the passage should not come in a CBSE paper? No. The message is that our society, the road for equal gender parity, school should don a new role. Rather, it should sensitize new, because inequalities of class, caste, and gender are existing in the school system. And school should not demonstrate that themselves by reiterating the wrongs. That's what the passage is, reiterating old wrongs. School should not reiterate old wrongs. Rather, it should sensitize young minds to create and remove the inequalities of class, caste, gender, which are existing even in the school system. So look at it now. At the time when it is imperative for the board to lighten child and burden, the CBS send out the wrong possible message. So what is the overall tone or mood of the author? What was the overall tone? What is it saying to the schools? He's giving a suggestion. He's giving an advice. Please do not reiterate the old wrongs. Rather, it is imperative for you to sensitize and remove the gender disparity in the form of inequalities of class, caste, gender already, which are existing in the school. Is this clear now? Is this clear? He's negative about the schooling system, but on the end, he gives an advice to the Udit. He gives an advice to the schools, whosoever is the author. Don't follow the wrongs. Make a new system. And it's the role of the school. Did you see in the beginning? He is criticizing the school system, but he's also ending on a note of advice that it's your duty and your role to build. Clear? Now is it clear? See, how did we gauge? All examples only, so much we read. But what are the 4 lines that we picked? Intro, the main idea, the conclusions of major parts, and then what are the examples leading to? Okay, I'm passing on the last paragraph to you, and please, all of us, read that very sincerely, and then I give you this with a question. If time will permit, I'll do one. Okay, again, that goes to thank you only. I don't know why. Okay, here's the passage now. This follows with a question also, what is the central concern for the author? Central concern. So now tell me, how would you do it? The central concern or the main idea of the paragraph, you're going to do it with 3 things, which is saying what? You'll go and find out the intro. You will go and find out the further explanations to that point, and then you will come down to the final conclusion. Another thing, here when options will enter, we'll enter into 3 more modes, and that's going to be what? That's going to be, we are not taking any insertions, any option that inserts any new idea, we are going to remove. Anything which is just a very incomplete answer, we are going to throw it out. These are two option choices that you're learning today with me. One is the incomplete answer. That means it only talks about a very small set of idea. It does not cover the topic in totality. The second choice I teach you is that instead of, now see here he says, Louis Argan and Jean Cocteau allowed their subconscious hallucinations. Along with subconscious, he adds and conscious mind. Now see, I just add, after saying unconscious hallucinations and conscious mind concepts, now I added information which the author did not say. I inserted. So your concern, central idea, should not take any line that is an idea which the reader puts into the passage. You will not take an idea which is incomplete or partial in its thought. See, let's say, for example, if I was discussing the Afghan woman paragraph, then I can't say the central idea is obliteration of services. If both the paragraphs were there, then we'll also talk about it is obliteration of services, plus there is a special law. Both ideas covered, not only one idea. It should cover the main idea. Now, it should not say that CBSE has removed, central concern was not CBSE should remove the misogynist paragraph. No. The role of schools in not reiterating the wrongs. Role of schools, but sensitizing young minds for a better gender equity. That's what was the central idea, concern, the message. So two options we are removing. Insert, incomplete. Aaj do hi seekh rahe hain. Make for me, question behind is central idea. Make quickly a central idea for this paragraph. Quickly make me a central idea. I'll show you the options later. First make. Okay, can I begin? Can I begin? We'll look at the option choices later. It's good that we don't have the option choice. We're going to make our own gist and see which of the option choices carries all the points in that our gist is going to hold. Clear? Can I start? Or are you still reading? Okay, I'm beginning then. There are people who are saying I can begin. I don't know why this is not getting erased. Okay, so let's start. He says here, let's see how the author begins with the intro. The author says, between the world wars, a disturbing new spirit surfaced in the world of art and letters. So here's my intro. A new spirit. Oh, just 1 minute. A new spirit surfaced in the world of art and letter, a call to liberate the imagination and explore the tangled world of the unconscious. If I were to make this even shorter, what will you say? What will you say if I give you this line and I say, make it short? In the world of art and letters, there was a call to liberate the tangled world of the unconscious. Yes or no? So here's my intro. Then he talks about what is this, he gives a name, the surrealist, infused new Freudian findings with the symbolistic poetry of suggestion in order. What did the surrealists do? Keep the words easy. The surrealists. Findings with the symbolistic poetry of suggestion in order to, what did the surrealists do? In order to unearth the most elusive of objects, the human soul. They try to unearth the most elusive object, the human soul. Surrealists blended automatic writing, dream symbolism, and free association in unexpected, often random combinations. So here, can you see the first paragraph now? A new spirit surfaced. Explore tangled world of unconscious. Khatao. Now that's done. We can just start here. The surrealist. They try to unearth the most elusive object, which is the human soul, by using writings, dream symbolism, free association in random words, in random combinations. Let's go to the second part. Like their painting cohorts. So surrealists were writers now. Okay, so they did it with writing, automatic writing, dream symbolism, and free association. But like their painting cohorts, that means of the same kind cohorts. Dali and Marx Ernest, surrealist writer Henri Breton. Now, a lot of examples are given. Louis Argan, Jean Cocteau allowed their subconscious hallucinations and sexual desire. Look, the main point comes here. Sexual desires to dictate the assortment of images, symbols, and impressions. Painters did this. Writers did that. Like their painting cohorts. Surrealist writers, Andre Breton, Paul Ye, Louis Argan, and allowed their subconscious hallucinations and sexual desires to dictate the assortment of images, symbols, and impressions. They freely juxtapose their goal to collapse the boundaries of the rational. Their works push Dada's revolutionary fervor one step further, expressing the unspoken impulses that both exalt and destroy life. So now what did they do? What did they do? Please have a look. Dense paragraph is what I'm asking you to read. So surrealists allowed their subconscious hallucinations and sexual desires to dictate by the assortment of images. This is what the method they did. What was their goal? Their goal was to collapse the boundaries of the rational. Their work to collapse the boundaries of the rational. Bas. Keep it simple. Expressing the unspoken impulses that both exalt by toying with the limits of the real and the known. In the process of defining this new terrain, surrealism teased disturbing, eccentric, and absurd imagery from artists as diverse as Medium Era, as Paul Klee and Bob Dylan. Clear? Now, would you be able to see now what are the words that we can pick up? So, the surrealists, what did they do? They infused and they unearthed the most elusive of objects, that's the human soul. Like their painting cohorts, all these surrealists, they allowed the subconscious hallucinations to dictate their images. Subconscious hallucinations and sexual desires were there in their images, symbols, and impressions. Their goal kya tha? Kyun ye kar rahe the? Their goal was to collapse the boundaries of the rational. They were using subconscious and their unspoken impulses that both exalt and destroy life by toying the limits of the real and the unknown. So they used what? Subconscious hallucinations and sexual desires in images, symbols, and impressions. Dekho, khatam. Now, can I go further? Now, what is the central idea? What is the central idea? To clear somehow. Okay, what is the central idea of the passage? Quickly. You know what you've read now. Quickly go and work out the option. Last question for the day. Last, we're doing the last part. I am evaluating how many of you would agree surreal is unconscious bete, surreal not real. एक minute. How many of you would agree with me कि ma'am A is the answer? And then let's give a reasoning to A first. When I read the A part, I'm going to read the A part. Surrealistic literature was revolutionary art form characterized by subconscious hallucinations. Wow, that comes absolutely perfect. And sexual desires. Shabash. Surrealists used. Oh, ab aage word dekho. Insertion dekho. They used uncommon, never standard imagery. Can you see how bad it turned? By inserting, they used imagery, but not standard. He never said standard. Look at it, what imagery they were using. Please look. Assortment of images, symbols, and impressions, freely juxtaposed. Random combinations. Where did it say standard? So that goes. It's absolutely bad. A goes. Now let's evaluate B, bete. The human soul, as explored in the paintings of Salvador Dali and Marx Ernest, was the main subjects of. Is this what he's trying to? Is this the central idea? Yes, very good. Pavni, you saying my word. Great, bete. B, Bombay, would you agree? Would you agree with V Bombay? Is the topic on human soul, and then is it also, it was a literature dealing with the world of unconsciousness? Is this the main concern of the passage? Did we underline this? They rather blurred the boundaries of the unknown with the real. They used hallucinations and sexual desires of the unconscious in random combination and unearthed the soul. No. So this you will agree कि ये wrong ही है. The protagonist surrealism is missing, only changes the focus to Salvador Dali. That's an example in the passing, not the main topic. Not the main topic. Wow, very good. Look at C now. ठीक है, surrealism as a literary art form flourished between the two world wars. Very good. It was greatly influenced by Freud's idea. Yes. Focus mainly on unspoken impulses. Wow. Associated with the human soul. Yes. The imagery and symbolism used were unconventional. Yes. सब कुछ आ गया. देखो points. और क्या है यार? न्यूज़पेपर में क्या कर रहे थे? The dictacs, the special decree, obliteration. Exactly. सी अच्छा है. सी मुझे लग रहा है, बट मैंने डी नहीं पढ़ा है, तो मैं अभी सी को टेंटेटिव रख लेती हूँ. Let's try doing D. Society between the two worlds was going through a disturbing phase, and reflection of the same disturbance was found. Oh, ये ऐसा कुछ हुआ है? ये तो पूरा ही चेंज कर दिया है. Did he say the reflection of this and this? But can you verify with me again? It was a literary art form. Flourished between the two world wars. Look at how points are coming. It is greatly influenced by Freud. First paragraph. Unspoken impulses associated with the imagery was symbolism used were unconventional. Random combination and unconventional. See all points. Sexual desires wala bhi aa gaya. It was greatly mainly on unspoken impulses association. Sexual hallucinations and sexual desires of the mind. Unspoken impulses. See how wonderfully we worked out by elimination, and we learned only 2 eliminations today. One, insert, one, change the meaning, another is incomplete. This is like one line taken. Can you see the B is being incomplete off the mark? A, insert. D, changing the meaning. So today's class, The takeaways of today's class. I'll read the newspaper every day, 15 to 20 minutes, depending on my level. I'll change my newspaper very often to become a varied reader. In the newspaper only, I will start developing speaking skills by putting the newspaper to a close and bringing out the highlights of the articles that I read. And the fourth part will be, I'll make the central idea or the summary from any good source that I'm reading, whether the newspaper or the Eon essays or my sci-fi daily or any source that I have listed to you. If I want to improve my listening skills of English and improving my speaking skills, I'll start listening to some podcasts someday, not daily. Don't waste your time by going and listening again and again. But someday when I'm free or I don't feel like working or doing something, I can listen to the podcast. I think today's class, I rest here only and leave this thought with you that every cutting of the newspaper I read, I am making a central idea and I match that central idea with the author's central idea. I'll show you here, just a minute, just 1 minute. See here. Can you see this article now? In 1 minute, you will see this on your screen. And you will be seeing that the article that every newspaper cutting will have a title. And below the title, there will be another broad font size written. And that's the gist of the paragraph. The gist of the paragraph would be given. So if you make your gist, tally it with the gist of the author so that both of you are on the same page. Now see here, this is the title. And this is where the gist is. Can you see? The one that there is this, the broad one is the title, and below that there is a smaller font size is the gist. Can I just bring another thing here? Look, the broad one is the title, and this dark one is the gist. Yeah. So every time you read the newspaper, you would have the gist of the author given at the top. If your gist matches with the author's gist, you are very close to the author. Thank you so much. Yes, DRN. And for 1 minute, let me show you another article so that we're all here. See, this is again an article of Hindu that I used. I did not ask you to read here. See, it was on the repealing of the farm laws, on political consensus on repealing of farm laws. And look at the title. The government should build political consensus on plans for reform in farm sector. Now, when I read this line for you, you know what he's going to write down below. The central idea has been disclosed. Can you see? The government should build political consensus on plans for reform in farm sector. Clear? So here, that means every time in the newspaper, you will have a central idea, you will have a title from the editorial and the opinion page. Clear? Which helps me cover 5 questions of my paper, the primary concern of the author. Today's class was centric around the primary concern, how to shorten the length of the paragraph. Next class of RC, I'll teach you techniques, how to read more in lesser time and how to encounter and try eliminating regression in reading. That's all for the day. Stay safe and blessed. Bye. Thank you everyone for being so patient and all the technical glitches that we faced today. Okay. Thank you, Aryan. Thank you so much. ये वाला चीज से तो अच्छा मैं घर पे इतना फ्लॉलेस होता है ना उसमें, इससे ये करने से तो बहुत अच्छा। यही सेम चीज घर वाली तो की है यहाँ पे, वो इतना अच्छा